Hi everybody, this is Sean with Stampin' Scrapbook Expo, and I am here to welcome you to Get the Skinny on Slimline cards. I know this is a very popular topic, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy all the amazing presentations today. There's some pretty fantastic show specials as well, so make sure you grab your credit card. You don't want to miss any of those. Do me a favor, when you get the packages in the mail from today's event, make sure you post a picture of them on the Facebook group Stampin' Scrapbook Expo community page. I personally would absolutely love to see your hauls. Before you go, I want to show you one of my cards, one of my Slimline cards that was inspired by Callie Pearson, who is a fantastic artist. This is my You'll Always Be My Know Me card. You gotta absolutely love the Slimline cards. Thanks Dave Gordon for introducing them to me. I hope you enjoy the presentations and we will see you later. Bye.
Okay, so today we will be showing you how to use our Slimline cards, overlays, and layers to make a shaker card. We will also be showing you how to use our Waterfall insert to make a card too. Now you may say, this doesn't look like a Slimline card. It's a little bit short. Well, you are correct. If you take a Slimline card, so this is the new craze, is the mini Slimline card, but if you take a Slimline card, you cut it at 6 inches, then you have a mini Slimline card, plus this cute little gift card. Envelopes for these cards are available starting tomorrow, actually. I think they're on our website right away today. So you can go ahead and order those. They are called mini Slimline envelopes, and then we have the regular Slimline cards that you cut again at 6 inches to make the mini Slimline card. And I'm going to show you how to make that into a waterfall card. Let's start with the shaker card. So for the shaker card, we are using our Slimline scored card, which is 3.5 by 8.5. It's folded, so they come pre-scored, and then you fold it to 3.5 by 8.5. We also have our Slimline layer. So this is pre-cut to 3.25 by 8.25. It fits on our Slimline card. And then we also have our Slimline triple window overlays. So this one I did stamp on. If you can see a slight pattern on there, I did stamp on that. They are cut a little bit smaller than our layer, so you get a nice double layered look with using our Slimline cards, our Slimline layers, and then our triple window overlays. So we're going to start with our triple window overlay, and we're going to put tape all the way around. Now I did start to put tape on there, but I just went all the way around the windows because I'm going to first attach acetate around the windows, or actually over the windows. So we have our tape on there. Make sure no tape is hanging out. And then I'm going to take my acetate and I am going to attach those. Now we did cut the acetate a little bit small, so it just barely fits over the window. And because it's clear, it's really hard for you to see, but there is acetate. So there's acetate there. And then I also put acetate over my bottom window. Now I'm going to take foam tape and I'm going to put it all the way around each window. On my shaker card, I have 3 individual shaker units. So, and I also have my pieces that are going to go behind my shaker. So I have 3 of those already kind of cut to size. So first I'm going to turn it over. This is the back, and I'm going to use my foam tape, and I'm just going to attach that. And I want to put foam tape going all the way around my window. So I am using 3M foam tape, which it's really nice because you can rip it. Because my acetate was just about the size I needed. It is a little bit, I had some tape hanging out, my fingers keep getting stuck on that. But I do want my foam tape to go all the way around. I want it to be touching. So depending on how close I rip it, I might have to trim it, but I want it touching all the way around. Normally I'm not this generous with my foam tape when I'm foam taping things, but when you're doing a shaker card, you want to be very generous with your foam tape. So just make sure your foam tape touches all the way around. When I do get my 3M foam tape, I tend to cut it. It does come a little bit wider than this, and I cut it narrow. So I don't have narrow foam tape like this. I just cut it lengthwise. And you do want your foam tape touching all the way around. Now that one is really close, and I'm gonna have a hard time getting a little piece in there, so I'm just gonna take a new piece. So now, when I'm putting my shaker stuff in my windows, I'm not gonna take my backing off of all of them at the same time, because once I put my shaker stuff here, I don't want to touch the exposed foam tape and then have my shaker stuff go all over. So I'm just going to reveal my foam tape around each window separately. And I do want to just look and make sure how I am going to line up my little guy in the window, since I can't look at it upside down like this because my shaker stuff will be right here. So I am going to just kind of turn it over and look for placement where I have to place my picture. So I'm going to take my backing off, and again, take it off of each window separately. Now I do have where my foam tape is kind of sticking up right there. I want it more flat. So sometimes you just have to maneuver it because you don't want to bump in your foam tape. Now when I put my shaker stuff in there, really important, don't dump it from high up because it will bounce. It'll end up on your foam tape and then you won't get a good seal. Also, don't put too much shaker stuff in there, otherwise you won't be able to see your image. So I only use like half a teaspoon maybe even less than that depending on my window size. Also, you want to make sure to use something that is going to shake. So you don't want something that is fatter than your foam tape. Now, sometimes I do double up my foam tape. This one does shake, but some of them do get stuck in there. So I could have doubled up my foam tape if I wanted to. So now I'm just going to take my image very carefully and set it on my exposed foam tape and give it a push all the way around. And now that we pushed it, we should be able to turn it over and look at our image. Okay, so now I'm going to do my second one. And again, maybe this one I'm going to look at to make sure for placement. So again, reveal your adhesive. So take the backing off of your foam tape. This one, my foam tape is a little bit long, so I am going to take a small snip off of there. You just don't want to snip too much because you don't want it then having a gap. Okay, so again, when you're putting your shaky stuff in there, only put a small amount and put it off your spoon very close to the edge. or very close to the acetate. You don't want to dump it from high up because it's going to bounce. And then, yep, give it a little push all the way around to make sure that it's securely attached. And again, you can turn it over. Now this one has a word on it, so I do want to make sure for on placement where I can put it. But I'm going to take my backing off my foam tape again, so one more time. And I could have done shaker stuff throughout the whole thing. I could have just done foam tape big around the windows and attached one panel on there, but I wanted these separate little shaker units, if you want to call them that. So again, putting my shaky stuff on my acetate. And I'm going to attach my panel. Again, give it a push all the way around. Make sure it's securely attached. And I have my shaker units. Now, not totally necessary, but I like to just put a panel over the back of here, especially if I don't have it covering real well. So like I said, it's not totally necessary. I just like to do it just to finish that off. Nobody's gonna see it. It's on the inside of the card, but it's just something I like to do. So there we have our little shaker part. Now we're going to attach that to our layer. So now we have, with that layer on there, we also have a very good surface to put adhesive on. And I'm going to line that up. Then I'm going to put tape on the back of there and line that up on my scored card. Sometimes it's easier when you're putting a layer on the card front to lay it nice and flat. Then you don't have to worry about it popping up all over the place while you're trying to attach your layer. Then the last things I'm going to attach are a little word layer, which I have pre-done. And I have a couple of the hippos die cut out. So I'm going to attach them. I do not sell this foam tape, but I do really like it because it, you can rip it. Some of the foam tapes are spongier and you can't rip them like this. So there, our first card is done, our shaker card. And then we are going to go on to our waterfall card. So again, for our waterfall card, we started out with, I don't have another orange one here, but we started out with our Slimline card. And I just trimmed it at 6 inches to get these two separate pieces. So I have my two pieces. Now I did cut a text insert because we do sell the text inserts, and I just cut that also. When I'm attaching a text insert, I always put my tape on my score or right on either side of my score. And then I hold it at an angle, which I have to turn it the other way. I hold it at a 90-degree angle and attach my text insert right up to the score, and I fold my card flat, and that gives me the text insert attached. So now we have our waterfall card. So this is our waterfall insert. There are 4 scores on here. So the first thing you do is you fold at the main score. And then you have 3 other scores, and you're just gonna fold on those scores as a mountain fold, and you're just kind of easing those scores. So you mount and fold those. So this is the waterfall piece, and this is the motion that it makes going up and down on your card. I do have a piece that I'm going to attach because I didn't want that white. I wanted that covered up. So I am going to attach an extra layer on there. And I just kind of turn that upside down because it's a little bit bigger and I want it to be straight. So if I just attach that on there, and then I'm going to snip off my ends. The other thing I have, so it pulls up and down like that, is I have a layer. You can see when you pull it down, this part is colored. So I could stamp right on here, but in this case I wanted it slightly longer, just so I could fit everything because I'm using the ovals on there instead of squares, and they're kind of big. So I attached this layer right onto here. And you'll notice I'm not putting tape all the way down to the bottom because this layer doesn't go all the way down. So, but I'm just attaching it close to my score. And then I have a circle that I'm attaching to the back, and this is what you'll pull down on. When you attach that, you only want to put tape on half of it because only half is going to be attached. So it's attached to the back. And now we have our pieces that we're going to tape on there. So these pieces right here. Now usually I use squares, so this is something different. This is actually the first time I've tried ovals. So I did take an oval and I cut it off. And I've already die cut my piece that's going to attach on there, and I've cut that off also. So I just took a regular oval and cut a flat edge on the top. Now when we're attaching them, you want to start at this very bottom one right here. So I'm just going to fold that. This is what we're looking at. And we want to start and we want to attach the one first, which I think I have this little guy first. So I'm going to attach him first, and you're going to put tape right where it says tape. Then you're going to attach the next little guy, and then the next little guy, and then your top one. Now when you attach them, you just want to attach them up to the score, but not over the scores. So I'm going to go ahead and put tape on mine. And I'm putting tape right below each score, kind of how it is on that diagram. And you only want to attach them right up to the score. I don't want to go above the score. So on your diagram, you don't want to go above that black dotted line. That's your score. And you can go in whatever order you want. These cute little foxes are from Rubbernecker also. So we have that. So that's what it's going to pull down. You're actually going to pull right here, and it's going to pull all your layers down. So we have that mechanism. Now, for attaching to the front of our card, we have these two layers. This one I pre-brush blended. So this is our regular layering swatch. This one I cut just slightly smaller, and I pre-brush blended that. So I'm going to attach those two layers together. And then we need to attach this mechanism to the front. Now actually I am going to cut these a little bit smaller because with the waterfall card, they are a little bit smaller. So when you're attaching them, you never ever put tape on the back of here. You always attach with some type of brad. So I've got my yellow brads here, and I've got a Japanese screw punch. And I am just going to line those up where I want them to go. Now you can put just a tiny bit of tape on here, or on the back of this piece if you want to just hold it in place while you're doing it. So, but with the Japanese screw punch, you just push. Now we're going through quite a few layers of paper, so it's going to take a few times of getting through all of those layers. One more just to get through all of those layers. And then we're going to use a brad to attach that. We're just going to separate that. And then we're going to do that on the other side. And my screw punch has been used a lot, so it might not be as sharp as yours may be if you have a Japanese screw punch. And again, separate your little prongs. And now I'm going to snip this off just so I can attach it, or it'll be nice and even. Sometimes I trim from the back because then you can see what you're doing. Then now we can use adhesive on there. So adhesive to the back of our card front layers. And then it's just going to attach on the front of our mini Slimline card. And then we have our Waterfall card. So with the ovals, they're a little bit bigger, and so it didn't fit on an A2 card really well, but it does fit on this mini Slimline really well. And then with our extra pieces, we made our little mini gift card. So that's what I have for you today, using our Slimline card and layers to make a shaker card and then a mini Slimline card with a little gift card. Again, these envelopes are brand new on our website. They're called mini Slimline envelopes. We have the gift card envelope, and then we have the Slimline products also. Thanks for joining me today.
This is Michelle with Pink and Maine. Thanks for joining us today at the Stamp and Scrapbook Expo at-home event. Today is all about Slimline cards. If you've been on social media lately, you have noticed that everyone is making these tall and slender cards. Slimline cards have taken the card making industry by storm, and we're going to be making some today. If you've never made a Slimline card, you might be asking, well, what are the measurements? So for me, I wanted to make it simple, and I kind of looked up measurements that different people were using for their Slimline cards, and I came up with a pretty general consensus that the easiest way to make them is to take an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. So imagine your 11 inches is down here, and you're going to take that 11-inch side and take 4 inches off of it. So you're stuck and left with an 8.5 by 7 piece of cardstock. You're going to score that down the middle, down the long way, and when you fold it, you've got an 8.5 by 3.5 inch Slimline card. You can also make different measurements. I know some people make 9 by 4 Slimline cards. It's really up to you. I just find that's the easiest. I cut that 4 inches off, and then I've got that cardstock that I can use to help make the card and embellish it, or use it for something else. So that is the basic size of a Slimline card. Now Slimline cards will fit in number 9 or number 10 envelopes. They're the business size type envelopes. Let's jump right in and talk about these fun new dies that we've come out with at Pink and Maine recently, and they're all about Slimline cards. We come out with 6 Slimline die sets in this release, and 2 of them are what I call essential dies. They're essential because these are just your basic layering or nesting dies that you can create different layers for your cards. The largest, this is our stitched slimline dies. So these have the stitching around the edge that gives it that nice finished look. So here you're going to get 7 different layering dies, all with that stitched edge, with the largest being that 8.5 by 3.5 inches. These go down in size by 1/2 inch. So your next layer will be 8 by 3 and so on. This is a good essential set. Our second essential set is our layering or layered slimline dies. Now these do not have the stitching edge. They're just going to give you that nice finished edge that a die gives you when you cut through a die cut machine. You get lots of dies here because the largest one starts again at 8.5 by 3.5 inches, but these go down by 1/4 inch. So you actually get like a smaller border around your layers when you use these dies. And you can use these interchangeably with the stitched slimline dies. The next set that we've come out with is our Blessings slimline dies. Now this set creates a frame, and it has an inner scalloped feature. So the inside is scalloped, and it has a stitching edge around the outside. You get the word Autumn Blessings in this really nice script font, and the words have a shadow die as well. So you can create a shadow around the back of the words. You also get 2 block sentiment dies here. One says Hello Friend, and one says Happy Fall. So you could really get lots of uses out of this set. Our next slimline die set is called Beautiful, and you've got 2 layering pieces. They have the stitched edging around them, and they have 2 like regular corner edges and 2 rounded edges, one on each side. And it kind of gives you like a modern or mod look, just a nice stylish look to your cards. You also get 2 corner pieces that you can adorn the corners of your cards with, and you get the words Hello Beautiful. So the words are here, and you also get that shadow die, which is really nice to give a backing to the words if you like. This is our leafy slimline dies, and this is a really beautiful one for fall or autumn cards. It cuts a really pretty frame with these intricate and delicate leaves on the inside, and they're all connected to the frame and connected to each other. Last but not least, we have our Sympathy slimline dies. Unfortunately, sympathy cards are something we all have to make at one point or another. It's just a part of life, right? So it's always nice to have something ready to go. So this die has a nice scalloped edge piece that it will cut with a stitched inner line. You get quite a few floral elements here. Now these create some fun layered flowers. You've got flower centers, and you also have a couple of leaf pieces. You get the words With Sympathy in a really pretty font script, and you get that shadow feature, that shadow die again that you can go behind it. So we're gonna make some cards today. That's the fun part, right? Is getting creative and jumping right in. Let's make some slimline cards. So I have a teal sheet of paper here that I've already cut down to 8.5 by 7 inches. I've scored and folded, so I have my 8.5 by 3.5 inch card. I'm using our Sympathy slimline set for this card. So here is that scalloped piece that it cut. And as you can see, it's got that stitched edging around it that gives a nice finished look. So when you layer this on your 8.5 by 3.5 inch card, you can see you get a nice little border around it, like so. Now I've already put the sentiment together, so I cut out the With Sympathy in white cardstock, and I took a darker teal and I cut out that shadow feature. So all I've done is just glue down the sentiment to that shadow feature. And you can see how nice and big that is. It takes up a really good size portion of this card. So you don't need a lot of embellishment with it. You can let the words kind of speak for themselves. But we're going to embellish with some of the flowers that come with that sympathy die set. Now, I suggest when you get this die out and you're going to use it, just do like I did. Just take a few coordinated colors of cardstocks and papers and cut out a bunch of the floral pieces. Because if you'll notice, some of the dies are going to cut out this really delicate, thin kind of frame of a flower. So we've got a large and a small of that little frame that cuts. And those layer onto the other floral pieces that cut. So you can get a two-tone look to your flowers by layering these edge pieces. You could use them alone or layer them on top of the flowers. You can also layer all the other floral elements on top of each other. Here I've used a smaller flower and I cut it out of like a metallic paper. It's really pretty. And I just layered it on that big flower. So you can really combine and layer these flowers up in lots of different ways and create a variety of looks with the flowers in this With Sympathy set. So we're going to take some of the flowers that we cut out and we're just going to create, just a little bunch of flowers in the corner over here. We just stick in some of our leaves. May also want to add 1 or 2 flowers over to this side here and put some leaves with it just to balance, just to give balance to the card. There, I really like how that's coming together. So now I'm just going to glue all these elements down. And there we have a beautiful sympathy card with some pretty floral elements. Now you know you can use these floral elements for any type of card that you want. Flowers kind of always go with anything, but all we've used is that one die, just that one die and some paper, and we've made a really pretty card. For our next card, we're going to use that Blessings Slimline die set. So as you can see here, it cuts, the outer piece cuts this frame with that inner scallop. So it gives a nice, unique look just to kind of frame your card and your artwork in your card. So I'm gonna glue that frame down first. There we go. So I have some kind of light craft cardstock that I made my card base with. Again, the card base is 8.5 inches by 3.5 inches. I've taken the words Autumn Blessings from that Blessings die set, and I've already assembled the words on top of their shadow feature. And I use this really pretty gold sparkle sheets. And we have we call our glitter cardstock sparkle sheets at Pink and Main, but it's a really pretty gold, and it has little flecks of other colors that you can see. It's really pretty. It looks really nice for fall and autumn cards. And we also have a new stamp set called Need to Venti. And I've taken, it has some nice size mugs of warm drinks. If you're not a coffee drinker, maybe it's hot cocoa. If you are a coffee drinker, we've got that. So I'm gonna embellish those here on the side. So all I've done is I've taken the stamp sets and I've stamped and colored them with Copic markers, and I used the coordinating dies to cut them out. So now we're just going to glue these pieces down. Okay, so here we have our Autumn Blessings card. We've used that blessings die, the frame, and the words. Now you could use the frame by itself and make a totally different themed card. You can use it for anything really. And I've added these adorable mugs, and I popped the second one up with a little foam tape adhesive just to give it some dimension. And there you go. It's pretty simple and quick, but it makes a really nice card. So for our next card, I've already gone ahead and fixed a few of the pieces that we're going to use. We are using the beautiful die set for the Slimline dies, and this is how that Hello Beautiful cuts. So look at that really pretty font with the hello there. Now the hello, the H and the O are connected to the beautiful, so you could cut it out of one color if you like. But what I did is I just cut it out of the green and the orange, and I can use it twice. I kind of make it fall theme, even though you could use this with hot pink and teal blue and different colors and get a totally different look for any time of the year. But I've cut it out of some really pretty orange and green sparkle sheets. So our green is called the Park and the orange is called Construction, like a construction cone. But I've cut those out and I've already layered them on that shadow feature that comes with the die set. So these are the two layering pieces that come with the beautiful Slimline dies, and I'm just going to adhere these to the card. Okay, so now you can see how these layers fit on an 8.5 by 3.5 inch Slimline card. You still get a nice border around them, and then they layer together, or you can use them individually if you just want a one color layer. I've taken the smaller corner piece die and I've layered with I've simply glued the green on top of a craft color, the same color that I used to cut out the shadow feature behind the Hello Beautiful, and I'm just going to adorn the corners with these. The last thing I'm going to add to this really pretty card is a sunflower from our new Sunny Greetings stamp set. This Sunny Greetings is a really big 6 by 8 inch stamp set that has some beautiful sunflowers. So I want to add one of those really pretty sunflowers to this card because, like I said, I'm just making it kind of a fall themed card, but you could really use it for any time of the year. Just change the stamped image that you use, change the colors. It's really up to you. But here's a Hello Beautiful Slimline card. And most of what we used is just that beautiful Slimline dies. We've used the wording, the layering pieces, and the corner pieces all from that die set. And the only thing I've added is one stamped and colored image. And there you have a beautiful card. The last card we're going to make uses 2 of our die sets. I've got this Happy Fall cut out of our gold sparkle sheets, and I've just cut a little teal rectangle to fit behind it because I'm just using that negative space and I want that teal to show through. And the Happy Fall here is from the Blessings Slimline die. And then I've taken our Leafy Slimline die and I've cut it out of a piece of white cardstock that I just blended some inks with our ergonomic blender brush. I just took and blended some different ink colors. You can see the different colors, just a soft gradient of changing colors there over the white cardstock, and then I cut it out. And so I've got these beautiful ombre looking leaves from this die. And doesn't that just make a beautiful card? So again, I've got my craft cardstock or brown cardstock that I've cut 8.5 by 7 to get my 8.5 by 3.5 inch card. And I'm just going to glue down this piece from the Leafy die. And what I recommend for this die is like a liquid adhesive that has a really thin nozzle there, so you can get the glue in the small areas of this die. But don't worry about getting every single portion of these leaves glued down. If you just get a little glue here and there, they're going to stick nicely. I'm just rubbing off some of my excess glue. It will dry clear anyway, but there we go. You can also use adhesive, double-sided adhesive sheets, and you can put it on your cardstock before you die cut the cards so that you just peel it off kind of like a sticker. So look, I've already got, I mean, this is just beautiful by itself. You could put our Autumn Blessings sentiment on here. You could do lots of stuff. So now I'm just going to glue my sentiment piece onto that teal backing. And there we have very pretty fall card. Oh, I love this. I think the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of our glossy dots. So these are our rose gold glossy dots, and I'm just going to add a few just for a little bit of shiny embellishment here and there on this card. There, just to add a tiny bit of shine to this card. So I hope you've enjoyed creating some beautiful slimline cards with me today. You'll want to head over to pinkandmain.com and check out our brand new 6 sets of slimline dies. They'll have you creating slimline cards in no time that you can send to your loved ones. We have a code for you to use that could save 15% on our entire site, including our brand new slimline dies. And that code is Slimline, one word, lowercase, Slimline. So use Slimline on our website, pinkandmain.com, and you'll save 15%. Thanks so much for joining us today. I hope you've had a good time and you've learned all about slimline cards and you're ready to jump in and make some for yourself. Until next time, my friends, keep living the creative life.
Hi everybody, my name is Kelly Hammonds. I'm a Senior Director with Close to My Heart, and I'm very excited to be here with you today to talk about Slimline cards as well as Close to My Heart's new color of the year. Today we rolled out 2 brand new catalogs. The first on the left is our seasonal catalog. It comes out every 2 months. In this you will find seasonal papers, stamp sets, thin cuts, and other fun goodies. In our core catalog that comes out annually, you will find new paper packs, new stamp sets, new die cuts, new embellishments, new multimedia items, as well as some brand new colors and much, much more. So let's get started with our project today for the Slimline cards. Okay, the Slimline card that I'm going to make with you today will feature the Bokeh technique. So for it, I need my Distress Oxide inks. I'm going to use my Stickles gel. I have my White Daisy exclusive ink. I'm going to use that to primer the woods. The woods are brand new for us starting September 1st. A spatula and a heat gun to dry the Distress Oxide between the layers. And then for the circles, I created my own stencil. I just went on to Cricut and I gave it 5 different circle sizes and cut them far enough apart so that when I use it, I don't go into another circle. So I'm going to demonstrate this for you now. To make my card, the first thing I did was to tape it to my all-purpose mat. I made the mistake of trying to color my circles on it without it being taped down, and it moved it all around. The next step, then, I started moving my stencil around with my first color, the blue, and I just randomly put the circles all around the card, making sure some of them came off of the actual cardstock. After I was done with the blue, I used the blow dryer to go ahead and dry the ink. I want to layer my colors one on top of the other, and if I don't dry it first, they will mix, and I don't want that look. So first I did the blue, and then I did the green. Actually, the blue is chipped sapphire, then the peeled paint, and now I'm doing the picked raspberry. Afterwards, I did the peacock feathers, I believe, and then last I did the pumice stone. I added the pumice stone at the end just to try to take a little bit of the brightness off. Now, since I started with the blue, when I got done with all the major colors, I came back to the dark blue and put more dots on. I didn't want the card to look like it had been layered up, blue, then green, then pink. So I put some blue back on top to kind of mix it up. When I used the mini ink blending tool, I'm careful to make sure that I'm working in a circular motion or at least from the outside in. If you look at my original card at the top, some of the circles have the halo effect or the extra ring around it, and that is because I was using my brush from the inside out and all the excess ink would collect on the outside ring. I moved my washi tape around to make sure that I got every corner, every side of the card had some sort of dot, hopefully coming off the page or on the page, and just moved around. There's no pattern. Some cards have a little more dots, some of my cards have less. It's just whatever you feel like. I like my second card because it's nice and bright. My first card wasn't quite so bright. I like the look of both of them. But as you can see, it takes a little bit of time to get all of your dots down and then dry them and then move on. Finally, I took the Moon Dust Stickles glitter gel and did the same process, putting the dots around the paper. With it though, you have to be careful because you don't want your stencil to get into any of your dots because that glitter gel will spread and smear more than the oxide ink will. So I wish my stencil had been just a little smaller in the corners, but I was able to get a significant number of dots on my card the way I wanted, even one coming off the page. Hi, I want to show you how I got the pink high on the card. Okay, I just realized that when I shot the video that it was completely off the screen. So instead I'm going to work with the Yay, and hopefully you can see what I did. So I'm going to take my White Daisy ink. This is the pigment ink by Close to My Heart. As you know, hopefully that all of our inks are magnetic, and so they open and close very easily. But I'm just going to take the white ink, and I'm using this as a primer. So I'm just going to put it down in the ink, and the wood is just going to soak it right up. Okay. There we go. Next, I'm going to take my heat gun and I'm going to dry it. Okay, so I finished drying it, and if you remember in my original card, it's not quite white, but I used the pumice stone. And so the trick you can do with the wood, again, is you can just push it down in and swipe it, and it'll pick up the ink really well. And then if there's any spots you want to go back over, you can. This actually looks pretty good. Okay, so when I put it on this card initially, okay, I didn't like the way the white on it looked. I have such vivid colors in this card that I wanted something a little more vivid. So if you're not sure what color you want, my trick for you is flip it over and do the same process. Do your white ink, your pigment ink for a base coat, right? Let that dry. Okay, the white pigment ink is dry, so now I want to see if there's a color that I like better for my card. So this was what my card was going to be, so I wanted to test some colors. So I took my raspberry, whoops, and put that on one end. Okay, you can always fill in the blanks with your brush. And I thought, well, maybe the peacock feathers, a nice bright color, would look good. So I put that on the other end. And if there was a third color or 4 colors or 5 colors, you could each put them on the wood and then put it on your card and decide which one you like best. And in the end, I liked the picked raspberry for my card. Once it dries a little lighter, as you can see there. And that's how I was able to put color on my wood piece for my finished card. Now I'd like to show you a few of the slimline cards that I've made or had made by some of my friends. This is actually made by Denise Sanner. She's done a wonderful job using the distressed oxide inks. I know that she used some water and did some blending. You can see the blending that she's done. And then she used some of our new stencils, our new 12 by 12 stencils. And in the corner here, she has stamped a sentiment from the Bloom and Grace Scrapbooking Stamp and Thin Cut Bundle. And she did use hopefully you can see there, she did use our new distressed watercolor cardstock. It really helps the distressed oxide inks work better with water and blending. So I think she's done a really beautiful job. The next card is a really nice card. I've used glitter in the background, some of our holographic paper. I used a brand new stamp set, the Nursery Days. Comes both with the stamp sets and the dies. I used the new heart background to cut out the holographic paper. Okay, this is the new Majestic holographic paper. Okay, and what I really like about this is that even though this is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 size card, I have figured out a way to modify it for my slimline card. Now, Close to My Heart doesn't make anything specifically for slimline cards, but I've been able to adapt a lot of our products and they work beautifully. So what I did was I went ahead and I used this die with the holographic paper and cut it out. Then I glued it down to, and this is actually ballerina cardstock glitter paper. It's a brand new color too. It's got a little bit of pink in it. And when I glued it down, and then I was able to trim it down to the size of the slimline card. The die cut, as you can see here, naturally does a nice stitching around the edges as well as the hearts, but I lost the stitching around the edges because it's wider than my slimline. So instead, I cut out a frame with my pink paper and glued it down, and so you don't miss the frame, and I still have the beautiful hearts. I also used one of our brand new flower sequins for the onesie. Okay, and so then that's my baby girl card. I also made a baby boy card using the same heart thin cuts here, and instead I cut it out of vellum paper and put it on top of the new Bluebell glitter paper. This is also the new Bluebell cardstock. Again, I created my own frame, and I still, even hopefully you can see the little stitching shows up on the vellum. Okay, so I want to talk about Bluebell. Bluebell is our color of the year. Each year Close to My Heart has a color of the year, and I just love Bluebell. I just think it's such a beautiful paper. To me, it is a little bit blue, a little bit purple, a little bit gray, and it goes well with so many things as I'm going to show you. So this is another one of our new die cuts. Okay, this one is called Floral Background, and this time you can see it cuts a border. So when you're making a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card, it looks beautiful. Well, I wanted to have that same effect on this card. So what I did was I cut it out so that I captured one corner. Okay, so this comes directly from here. Then I cut it off about 1/8 of an inch shorter than the card, and took the edge that came across here and just glued it down. So now I have a frame. Didn't have a frame at the bottom, but that's okay. I used one of our new stitch tags, and I covered that part so you don't even know it's missing. Added a little flower and some of our stickles. Stickles are really close. The Waterfall is really close to the Bluebell color. And this stamp set, Grateful to Call You a Friend, comes from our new Operation stamp set. Our new Operation Smile stamp set for the year is this one, Every Bit of Wonderful. Really beautiful flowers, some nice sayings. You make my heart happy. You are every bit of wonderful. Grateful to call you friend. Inside and out, you're beautiful. And what I love about this program is that everyone who buys this stamp set, $7 of it will go directly to Operation Smile. And that is the philanthropic effort that Close to My Heart supports. And they fix the cleft palates for children and adults around the world. So that is what I used on this card for my sentiment. I'm really excited today to be one of the first to introduce you to our new color of the year, Bluebell. Isn't it beautiful? I just love this new color. It's a little bit blue, a little bit purple, a little bit gray. This is the color of the Bluebell. And on the back, all of our cardstock, we have the lighter hue, so you get both of these choices. We also have it in our glitter paper. Isn't this just gorgeous? I just love the way our glitter paper looks, and I love the Bluebell color. And a lot of my customers, almost all of them, tell me that our glitter paper is the best to use when you're cutting on your Cricut because it does not slough off glitter at all, and it's easy to cut. We also have several embellishments. First, we have the shimmer trim. Looks just like the glitter paper, except for it's self-adhesive on the other side. We have the Bluebell pearls. You get 3 sheets of small, medium, and large pearls. We also have our glitter gems. You get a whole sheet of large ones and a whole sheet of the small. And then we have our sequins. Our sequins, they are in the Bluebell. They also have the iridescent white. There's some white hearts in there. That's the loose sequins. And as of September 1st, when this airs, we should also have our inks, our re-inkers, and actually a Bluebell shimmer brush. So we should have our inks, re-inker, and shimmer brush in Bluebell by the 1st of September. And last but never least, we have a brand new, I can't even get it in the frame, our Everyday Life album, which is a 12 by 12 album, 3-ring. And this is a great album for storing projects. I use it to store, or when I'm working on my annual subscription, scrapbook subscription, I like to put them in here, or if I'm just doing some pages and I'm not ready to put them in their final book. So one of the things that I truly love about Close to My Heart is our founder and owner, Jeanette Linton, has written several Make It From Your Heart and other how-to books. If you're familiar with our Make It From Your Heart Volume 3, which is scrapbook pages, or Make It From Your Heart Volume 4, which are cards, you'll be excited to know that later in October, our Volume 5 is coming out. It includes 20 scrapbook pages and 10 card designs. You might know these as sketch patterns. We just know them as wonderful patterns to follow to make beautiful cards and layouts. Now, whether you're making slimline cards or maybe pages or regular cards, the Love of Color Volume 2, which is brand new, and the Love of Color Volume 1 can help you with any project. It basically takes any one of our colors and it shows you other colors to put it with. Have you ever gotten stuck going, I really like this color, but I always use it with the same red and the same green or the same blue and the same yellow? Well, this will help you get out of that rut. And so it shows you the color with 2 other choices, 3 other choices, or 4 other choices that makes beautiful balanced pages and projects. So what does this have to do with slimline cards, you ask? Well, I'm going to tell you. So Bluebell, color of the year, I took the color suggestions from the Love of Color Volume 2, and I made my cards based on the suggestions to get me out of my rut. So the first card I made, I did it using our Evergreen and Pebble, which is our dark green and a light gray, and I made this thanks card. Now, something you'll notice here is if you can see my hearts, they're a little bit blue, a little bit green, a little bit evergreen, a little bit of Bluebell. What I did was I took a full sheet of paper and I used my distressed inks and I inked it up and then I spritzed it with water. And when it dried, I had a whole 12 by 12 sheet of paper that then I did run through my stitched heart die cut and cut out my 2 hearts. On the other side, I have used the Pebble cardstock with my Bluebell glitter paper. The Thanks die cut has become one of my new favorite die cuts. You can see, I should have opened it for you already here. You not only get the background, but you get the individual letters to go nest in them. You can use the 2 together. If you want to just use the letters alone, you can. And so I think this is a really good example of how that Bluebell, Evergreen, and Pebble come together very nicely in a card. I even used the Bluebell glitter gems down here. Then I made another card Remember I told you that I took the different greens and blues in the oxide ink. This time I used them on that distressed watercolor cardstock, which made it much easier to blend it together. Again, I made I think it's an 8.5 by 11 sheet, so I made the whole sheet and then I cut it up for my background. I used the holographic paper, which this I believe is the Oasis, on top of the pebble, and then I used the sequins from Bluebell for their accents. For my 4-color combination, Bluebell, Wisteria, Sangria, and Pewter, I made this card right here from a Wild Bunch. I included a piece of the shimmer trim from Bluebell. I've used the Sangria for my sentiments. I used the Bluebell ink, the Pewter on my koala bear, and Wisteria for the background, for my back piece. And that is my combination for Bluebell, Wisteria, Sangria, and Pewter. Then for my 5-color combination, Bluebell, Sapphire, Paprika, Sundance, and Linen. Sundance is a new color. I made 2 cards. This is my first card. And what I love about this card and the next card is I was able to use our stitch squares. What I like about my stitch squares dies are not only do they cut out a stitch square, but at the same time it cuts out a stitched frame. So every time I use the single die, I end up with 2 pieces. So on my card, I have used the center part of the stitch square die cut. So that's my outside with my sapphire. Then I've used the paprika and the Sundance to make flowers, and those flowers have come from our new stitched florals. I didn't even need to stamp them. They do have the dies and the stamps, but I just went with the simple flower. Then for the diamond at the bottom, I used our new lovely borders. And it also comes with dies, but again, I just stamped it straight on there with the sapphire. And then for my sentiment, it also came from our stitched florals. Words could never express my heartfelt thanks for all you do, which fits perfectly into that square. And then finally, for the flowers, if you remember we had the white flower sequins, we also have the colored flowered sequins in a beautiful array of spring colors. The second card that I made used the frame that was left over from my squares. And again, I've used this color combination. I've got my frame. I have flowers from the Operation Smile set that we mentioned before. Stamped my flower. I used the Bluebell pearls. I used my shimmer brush, my clear one on the 2 Sangria flowers and the gold one on the Sundance one. And the You Make My Heart Happy also is the sentiment from our Operation Smile stamp set. So that gives you an idea how you can come up with different cards, different projects using our Love of Color book to give you more ideas when you get a little stymied. Each page also gives you some beautiful layouts, some beautiful cards that you can mimic on your own. Remember, the Love of Color 2 is available now. The Love of Color Volume 1, which is in my binder, they all are 3-hole punch, so they go in binders, is available now. And our Make It From Your Heart 3 and 4 available now. Make It From Your Heart Volume 5 will be out in October. As I wrap up my presentation today, I want to thank every one of you who took the time to watch it. On behalf of the other Close to My Heart consultants that work with Stampin' Scrapbook Expo and have been participating in these virtual at-home events, we appreciate your support. Jillian, Tanya, Tina, and myself couldn't do it without you. So if you don't mind, take the time to go back and watch Tanya's presentation of for pets. She presented our brand new pet stamp sets as well as our brand new wood paper. And make sure that you check out Tina's next presentation. She is our next presenter, and she is going to be talking to you about creativity in motion. Now, it's her show for creativity in motion, but I do want to show you my Slimline cards and give you a sneak preview of what Tina is going to show you. So how much fun are these cards? Aren't they cute? Can you see that? So make sure you check out Tina's presentation. Make sure you shop my specials, and we all look forward to seeing you soon. Have a wonderful day.
This is a clear stamp set number 3318, Autumn Harvest. It's got 17 stamps on it. This is the layering guide that goes with it, and that's what we'll be working with for a while here. So let's get started. So this is what we're going to make. We've got 3 pieces of paper here. They're all separate, and we're going to start with the card that's going to go underneath those, and we're going to start to stamp. So you can see a couple pencil lines. Those are laid on there because, well, you'll see. It's pretty hard to explain ahead of time. So I'm going to stamp these real fast. This is our color fuse, and I'm using the yellow-orange set. And we're starting with mango, and we're going to get a nice saturation on it. The clear stamps beat up a little bit with dye inks, and so it takes a few passes to get them nice and smooth, but it works out. You really don't need, well, anyone might need the layering guide, but it's a visual lineup for me. Look at it, and when the edges disappeared, it's lined up. If I have any questions, I'll check the layering guide from time to time. So whatever you're comfortable with. There's the third one. So we use mango, then apricot, and now this is pumpkin. So we skipped number 2 in the set to get a nice deep rendition of browns and oranges. And I'm cleaning those off so that I don't get ink on my hands and then all over the card as best I can. And now the sticks that go into it. And you see me fidgeting with it. It's just because there are a lot of ways. There's not really a perfect way to put that. So you just find where you're comfortable with it. These are brand new stamps, so they do take a few inkings before they kind of wear off some of the slipperiness, and the ink doesn't bead as much. But the MISTI makes all that possible. And we're going to move down and do another one. This is going to be one of the smallest of the 3. And now we're using citrus. This is number 2 out of 4 in the set, so it's a little bit darker yellow-orange than the mango was to start. You can see that in comparison to what it is right next to it. We're going to use it again on the very end, so I'm going to go ahead and, while that piece is out, finish it. And citrus again. A couple times. You can see how it darkens as it goes. There are a lot of shades in between each of the ink colors that can be achieved by multiple repeat stamping. Now this is the second or middle size of the flowers. And I'm choosing to use the big one again as well, just to make sure everything's going to fit the way I want. Citrus again. I think if I move that up a little bit more off the card, it'll fit in there better. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's put some darker shades on there. do a couple at a time, it might speed it up just a little bit. I know you guys get bored watching just stamping over and over. And that was apricot, number 3 out of 4. And we're going to put on number 4 out of 4. And this should be the pumpkin again. This is the first time I've used this set, and so you can see how easy it would be to line things up because I'm not referring back to the layering guide in great detail. It's off to the left and I can see it, and if I have a question I glance over, but there's not a requirement to have it in any specific spot. It just kind of fits, and when you're comfortable with it, you're comfortable with it. So some more branches, maybe about there. But here I want to mask the bottom of it because we're going to put a phrase down there eventually. The brown color is the cinnamon. It's number 3 out of 4 of the brown set. People don't pay a lot of attention to brown because they're not as bright of colors, but it's got 4 really nice, useful shades to do a lot with in that set. And several of them, if you use them as base pieces, you can dramatically change the color of stamps that would go over the top of it. Bokeh is one. It's almost a taupe or a beige shade. Finish that one up with our pumpkin. Get our branch on it. And finally the third layer of that one and the branch, and we'll be ready to move on to the next phase. This will be the pumpkin. So for the leaf colors on this, we stayed with our yellow-orange set and the brown for the stems. But you don't have to. If I'd have wanted this to be more of a red-orange look, we could have added some of the red set to it. Whatever you're looking to do, you can do. There's a lot of variety in the Color Fuse set line in just 12 color shades. Okay. So now we're going to take this out, put everything aside, and we're going to take our die cut smaller, and we're going to cut it right out like that. So that's the die cut we used, and we cut it out, and that's where it came from. So let me show you how we're going to assemble this now. We've already glued down those pieces. Now we're going to glue this one down, and then we pre-cut out a piece. It's going to go back into that hole. Always a trick. So this is a piece that we pre-cut earlier. And so it'll fit right back in that hole. And the purpose of that is that we're going to put this other piece of brown over the top of that. And we don't want it sinking into an empty hole. But the brown is going to transition the colors very nicely to this piece, but give us a nice little interesting accent as we lay this over the top. Just like that. And there we stamped Autumn Days of Rust and Gold. Now let's move on to the second. This is number 3316, Autumn Fire. There's our layering guide again, and this one, it is important to use the layering guide because this is a very complex set. And what I do is I find one specific thing, and so I like to find that spot right there, and I'm putting a mark on it. And that will help me find it with each piece. So we're going to use the same ones again, but we're going to switch it up and use something from the red side, the crimson, for the fourth one. So we'll start with a mango. Pick that one up. You just take a simple perfect pearl eraser and give it a few rubs. It helps to ease the slickness of the stamp and makes the ink bead much less. And on this, even if it wasn't beading, I would want to put down several layers because it gives you a nice intense color. And so we find that same spot right there by my left forefinger. And match up the pieces all around. And you can see them, they literally, the lines of the stamp literally disappear when you get it lined up on what's supposed to be underneath it. And now the third one, this will get the apricot. And as we move up, there's less and less on each layer of the stamp, so they become a little bit more difficult. And sometimes I have to put on my reading glasses so that I can see a little better. Because my basic glasses aren't really designed to focus at 1.5 feet, more like 5 feet. So when I want more precision, I've got to switch to my readers. Getting old is difficult, but what are the options? And here's the last one, and I use these 3 dots to line up this one because the piece that I used to begin with is really not there on this piece. And we found that red in our color of red tends to stain the stamp and it won't come off without cleaner. And I don't have a water-based cleaner, so I can't clean the stamps completely. You can see over there on the left, the other one's been stained as well. Real deep crimson on that one, 4 layers. And a beautiful flower. So we've done one for you. There's going to be several on this card, so there's no reason to do a whole bunch. So now we're going to assemble it. This has been done the same way that we've done the other ones. We cut out a piece. We cut out some paper. You can see on the left-hand side there to match it. So we started with these three again and layered them in and glued them down. And then we took these two, there's the base, and this one will eventually be cut out of it, just like we did before. But we've got a background on this one, and so let me show you how we did that. This is number 1337, our Lots of Random Dots stamp. And I'm going to use the yellow, orange, and the red that I was using to make the flower from the color fuse set. And I'm just going to take the little cubes and I'm just going to I'm going to run it over all the way with the mango. And then with the apricot and the nectar, I'm going to just dab it here and there using the edge of the pad or the corner of the pad. So we just have an irregular layering of color, random as I can make it. And I'm going to add a little pumpkin just because I think that might be nice too. So 3 of the oranges and 1 red. And we'll stamp this. I've got another stamp there on the other side. And I'll move it over and I'll do it again. Mango, apricot, pumpkin, and nectar. And we'll overlap it, but not a lot, just a little bit. And now we'll take our die and we'll cut that out. Flowers and leaves we're going to use that we created that we're going to put onto this. And there's the color that we use for the leaves. We're going to cut it right about there. And we'll put that back in the hole. So we've done that. Take it apart. Pull off our washi tape that held the die in place. And now we'll assemble. Now using the one that we've pre-prepared, we'll assemble our composition of little bouquets on here. Some double stick tape and a couple of pop-ups. This set has 1 multi-stemmed leaf and several 2 single stemmed leaves. We pre-stamped a little phrase here, "You're the best." And there's our second card. Thanks very much for watching today. Let me go back and show you all the things that we used. We used the 3318 set and the 3316 set, Slimline nested stitch die set. We used our red set and our yellow-orange set, our green set, and our brown set from the Color Fuse line.
Hi, this is Rob from Rubbernecker. On behalf of Scrapbook Expo and the At Home Slimline event, I hope you enjoyed all the presentations tonight and learned something new. And until next time, happy crafting and enjoy your weekend.